Hello, my name is Rachel Elder. I am one of the therapists and owner of Connected Couples Counseling, and I'm so glad you're listening in. This month's blog post is about crucial conversations, and it came from starting to read this book called Crucial Conversations. It's called Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. I'm doing this in a small group study, and we're doing a chapter a week, and I read ahead about to chapter 4. I finished chapter 4, so I haven't even read this whole book, and I have been highlighting. I love it in alignment with the work that I do with couples. And as I was reading it, I was having these ahas of like, oh my gosh, this is what connects to what I do every day. And I love it. So I highly recommend it, even though I'm not even all the way through it. But as I was reading it, I was writing the blog post on the plane, and it reminded me of this Instagram influencer I follow. Her Instagram tag is Style Fit Fatty. And something that she does with her community is her community feels really safe with her and will submit questions. And a lot of times the questions that are submitted or what they're seeking like support, resources, feedback on are on these topics of crucial conversations. So some of those conversations I've seen is, I want another child, but my partner doesn't. What should I do? I don't think I've ever had an orgasm, and I don't know if I ever will or how. My partner plays video games all the time, and I feel so alone. I feel disconnected. This one I've seen quite a few times. I'm having an affair, and it's the most loved I've ever felt. What should I do? Politics is tearing our home apart. She gets some really vulnerable questions, and the community shares their input and feedback. And I love that she just shares all the views. One of the pieces in the book, Crucial Conversations, they talk about when we create a space where people feel like they can be honest and they can bring themselves authentically, it increases the group IQ. And part of what I think about her Instagram account is she's doing that. Now, the reason I share that is because there's obviously lots of crucial conversations that pop up in our marriages and our relationships. And in this example, these people are struggling, like, how do I talk about this in my relationship? What should I do? They end up going to others instead of the direct source, which happens a lot in relationships. Part of my work as a couples therapist is to help people turn towards one another, be direct, be open, be honest with one another, and have these hard or crucial or tricky conversations and not be scared to have them. Part of this book talks about, in order to create these crucial conversations, we first need to know, like, what is our truth? Or what are the facts for us? Or what I often say with my couples of, like, what do you need? So in the blog post this month, we kind of talked about what comes up with crucial conversations and how to do it. But I started first by sharing my own story. And I remember writing on the plane, and this story still makes me teary-eyed to this day. So if you see that, it's real. And it's just raw. So I remember being at a point in my marriage where there was so much disconnection and tension, and man, the divide between me and my husband was wide. We were about a year and a half into parenting, in a pandemic, and there's just so much disconnect. I poured myself into work. That was something that was lighting me up and bringing me joy, as well as meeting the needs of our daughter. He was pouring himself into work, but also like distractions with video games. And there wasn't a lot of, I don't know the word, like good. Our relationship was not bad, but like goodness, sustainability, like sustenance, I think is the word I'm thinking of. And so I was in therapy with my own therapist, and I'd had a moment at a holiday event where I started to wonder if the grass was greener on the other side. I started to wonder, like, maybe I would be happier with someone else, which is a very scary thought to have when you are a couples therapist and you are trying to walk the talk and talk the walk. And here I am going, I don't know if this is the type of marriage I want to have for the rest of my life. Like, if this is what it is forever, I don't want this. And she was like, you need to tell him, right? Like, this is a crucial conversation. You need to tell him sooner rather than later. And I wanted to be a good therapy student or a client. And so, of course, that night I went home and kind of told him what was going on. I remember our daughter was in the bath. I will say, I'm not the greatest at like timing of conversations. This is a growth area for me. But it was in that moment that I think I was like, if I don't say it now, I'm never going to say it. So I said it. And he responded so well. He was like, I hear you and I see you, like, yeah, it brings tears. Let's find someone. Let's get started with someone. And I was so grateful in that moment that I took that risk to be honest and share truly what was going on for me, and that he responded well. I realized that may not be how everybody's partner would respond with a crucial conversation with what's going on, but I was so grateful he did, because that crucial conversation led to many crucial conversations between us. Conversations about whether to have another baby or not, the processing of the pain of a miscarriage, discussions around our parenting dynamics and what needs to change around financial stress and strain, as well as conversations about how we want to create more intimacy, more play and more fun, and more adventure together. And I think that's the funny thing about crucial conversations, is the more that you have them, the easier they get. They really require this fail forward mindset of, this may not go swimmingly, this may be a little clunky, but the more that I do this, the better I get at it, the easier it is to do. And so let me break down. How do we do this in our marriages? First, we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to acknowledge how we're feeling, thinking, what we need, what is our truth. And we need to create the opportunity for our partner to do the same. And I highlight in the blog post, remember, you both have your own subjective truth, and one is not more right or better than the other. They both matter in finding a path forward together. Second step is then you need to set the stage for the crucial conversation. So as I said, I am not the best model of these. Even though I teach this, I tend to just throw it out there. I kind of like vomit my truth sometimes, and I could be better at setting the stage. But setting the stage means you both have clarity on your thoughts, feelings, and needs. You're in a headspace that allows you to show up and share them with your partner, but also hear them. And I think it needs to be done in a day and time that suits you both well. If my husband was on, he would say, Rachel is known for processing her truths right at bedtime. And it is something I've gotten a lot better at, but I was, like I said, it's a growth area, growth edge for me. I would often bring my truths right as we were trying to lay down at night, which I was exhausted, he was exhausted, and then we'd talk for hours, even though we're both exhausted, and kind of go around in circles. So setting the stage for these conversations, I think, is really key. And then third, you have to take turns being speaker and listener. Both of you need to share your thoughts and feelings and needs. You need to reflect back what you're hearing your partner say to make sure you're tracking with them, that you're in touch with their intention behind what they're sharing. And you can't jump into problem solving until you both have had space to share. And then fourth, you have to choose to work together to find a solution, a compromise, a plan forward. Crucial conversations sometimes require multiple conversations. It's not always a one and done. There's not always a clear solution. So we need to be accountable to one another, to think about it, reflect on it, and explore the ways we can navigate together, and be willing to keep coming back to it as needed. The book really talks about, like, it's looking at businesses, the people in, these settings that have these crucial conversations. What helps them do that? What helps them stand apart? What do they do to create that? But I think if you read it, like, you can think through it in a way of like, how does this apply to my relationship or my marriage? So crucial conversations are necessary. They're necessary in our relationships, in our work, in our families, in our society. They're not going anywhere. And so I want to challenge you to really embrace developing this skill, embrace having the hard conversations in your relationship. Sorry, I'm on the tail end of a cold. Having the crucial conversations in your relationship, because they can lead to connection. And if you're struggling to do this well, this is where you seek out support. Reach out to a therapist. You're welcome to reach out to our team. But sometimes we just don't know what we don't know, and we don't know how to have a crucial conversation well, and that's okay. There's this book, there's therapy, there are podcasts, there's so many ways for you to develop the skill. So if you're stuck and struggling, look for the resources, ask for support, get help, and start having these conversations in your relationship. Okay, as always, I love to hear your thoughts and opinions, your feedback, your questions, so drop them in the comments, and we'll see you next month.